So in 2012, one of the biggest challenges this year we thought might be weed management, but obviously it's drought and the heat stress that we've had. But certainly those two factors, the heat stress as well as the drought stress, has impacted weed control. In some cases, initially it hurt our weed control in that we didn't get rainfall for activation of our residual herbicides, and then also those hot, dry conditions didn't allow our post-emergence herbicides to reach their optimum activity. But then ultimately what happened weeks after that, after our post herbicides failed, those weeds that survived were still injured. And I think the drought kind of finished them off, and they didn't thrive as if we were, compared to if we got higher rainfall conditions, had a good soil moisture, and those weeds could have survived better. But I think in fact they did die off, some of them, not all of them certainly. And then the soybean canopy, crop canopy did take over a little bit, although the canopy's been struggling too. So I think compared to last year, weed control's better. But it's for a bad reason, that'd be the heat and the drought. So in terms of other problems that we've had this year for weed management, obviously we have heard greater frequency of glyphosate resistance and resistance to PPO inhibiting herbicides in the species water hemp. We've been keeping an eye out for that, as well as continue to have challenges with glyphosate resistant horseweed or mare's tail. And then we're finding more populations and questions about, do we have more of this glyphosate resistant Palmer amaranth? And those are things that we continue to educate on, trying to look at Palmer amaranth ID versus water hemp and what it really means between the two. Why is that important? They look similar, so control measures are somewhat the same, but Palmer being a little more competitive, you need to be more aggressive in terms of application timing. Make sure we have those residual herbicides in there because Palmer will be able to choke out some water hemp infestations, which is not good news. So we have these different tools, herbicide traits that we can look for in the future, especially in soybeans like 2,4-D and dicamba and Liberty Link systems. But one thing that we've covered today, and I think the audience agreed, has been the use of soil residual herbicides is probably our best go-to technology for weed management or management of these herbicide resistant weed species, because you can use these residual herbicides in any seed trait that you pick. And so that's an important factor. No matter what seed you choose, you can rely on these residual herbicides. And then in terms of boiling this all down for the audience, we need to be sure that we're managing weeds with residual herbicides, making timely applications, scouting fields, making sure that our herbicides are working, as well as making sure that we don't have any new species introduced, such as the Palmer amaranth that we haven't had before, didn't expect to have. But weed seeds are being introduced across our farms, and not just from field to field, but county to county. When we move livestock feed, we move equipment. We just have to be managing weeds, scouting for weeds to make sure that we're as profitable and successful in the future.